Hello, my convicts, convict catchers, the designer of convict bringing you guys and gals today's rant video. I'm sorry, but this is a ranty video. If you don't like ranty videos, then look away. Today I wanted to moan. I want to get some things off my chest to you, Amazon. Right? Deeply frustrated, Amazon. You're letting me down, and I've always spoken so highly of you, but today this rant is for you. Right? So, what's happened? Well, basically, as you all know, if you're quite new and don't know, my PC's I've not been able to use my PC for a little while now, and it's been deeply frustrating. I've been waiting on some products. I basically been upgrading the computer over time, and I bought a new CPU. I had an 850-watt power supply, and I also got some more memory as well. Now, there was a problem one of the other days, it just clicked. And I heard the click distinctively, and it sounded like a power supply click. So I think the power supply failed. There was a failure on part of the power supply. Upon that being a failure, obviously after trying to turn on the computer multiple times and doing other various like sort of diagnostic checks, there was no way I could physically figure out what the problem was because the motherboard wasn't doing anything, yet all the parts in the computer seemed to light up, but the motherboard had no LED light to it for some reason. So either the power supply had failed, and even the power supply, when you would turn it on, it would spin for just a split second and it would instantly stop, and it was getting no post or anything from the computer either. So praying to God it's not my GPU, but anyway, so I was confused. I was like, okay, well, what's the problem? I need to sort it out. So at this point, obviously being in haste, because obviously my PC is for a business, I went and bought a new motherboard, which was the Asus ROG Strix 2 Gaming, after accidentally buying a AM5 board, which is upstairs. Now, I bought the Gaming 2 and I put all the parts in again from the previous and retested because it was a brand new motherboard, put everything in as it should be, and again, everything was lighting up. But even a brand new motherboard, there was no lights. There's no LED lights, Dr. Bug LED lights, because the Asus, they're not like a number, sequence number or anything that pops up and it populates and tells you what the problem is, or it'll tell you if it's going to post. It's just these little lights that go red, orange, white. There's a white, red, orange, green one. And then the green one obviously is the post, where it posts. None of those lights are lighting up at all, even on the new board that I've just bought. And I was like, okay, well, this just doesn't make sense. Why is nothing working? And why is this new board come, but there's no lights on it? So obviously, I'm thinking it's power supply. Luckily, I've got a 650-watt spare power supply, which is sitting right there. Very recently as well, because I wasn't too sure if both power supplies had failed, which made no sense, I very recently went and bought one of these, which is a power supply tester. Okay, I've tested this power supply here, and I can confirm from this that that power supply does work. It is fully functional and it's not broken. It does work. And this has confirmed that because it's showing up everything as correct. All the voltages are correct and everything. So everything seems to be fine with the 650-watt power supply. But yet the 650-watt power supply wasn't turning on the computer. That it was turning on, everything was spinning, all the fans and everything was spinning, but I was getting no post and there was no lights on the board to suggest what the issue was because the board wasn't lighting up. Even though the little logo was lighting up, the LEDs weren't coming on. So it wasn't even going to the LED part of the computer. And then when I went to test the back for USB wasn't working. Even the flash BIOS holding down for 3 seconds was getting no power. So I don't know if it's because the power supply of the previous the Gigabyte wasn't working and of this one, but surely this one would have turned it on, would have powered it because it is fully working. So at this point I'm like, well, what's going on? So obviously, at that point, I returned the items. I returned the memory, because it could have been the memory. It could have been the CPU. It could have been the power supply. It could have been the motherboard. It could have been any of those items. So I sent all the items back at the same time. I got the refund more or less instant for the power supply. Eventually, I had to keep calling and eventually got refunds for both the RAM and for the motherboard, even though that took a bit and I had to keep asking them. And then eventually decided to give me the credit note back for them just quite recently within the last day or so. So now we're stuck on a situation of waiting for the high value item of a CPU. And apparently the CPU is a high value item. And from their policy, which makes no sense because this is a product that isn't going to be returned. They're not supposed to be reviewing it for it to be repaired and returned or anything like that. All it's supposed to be is you've returned it. Once we receive the return, you get the money back. It's supposed to be generally what's supposed to happen with any item when you send it by Amazon. Apparently, there's this mystical waiting 14 days for the return for no reason. Now, I'm getting conflicting people here, Amazon. I've had people suggest, the past few people have suggested the reason why there's a 14-day period is because you have to test the item. And then once I've tested the item after 14 days, I'll receive the money back because there's a time window. Why? I'm not getting the item back. Once you receive the item, you should just instantly send me the money back. Or if I suggest to send it as a credit note, then you send it as a credit note. If it's a problem, because obviously it's money, a lot of money, then just make sure that when you say to customers, okay, we can return the item, but we can only send it back as a credit note. Don't return it to their accounts. Just say the only way we can do it is if we send it to you as a credit note, because then they have to respend that money again through Amazon. You get that money back anyway, eventually through other products that they might buy when they want something else, rather than giving them money back to their account and you potentially losing any money. If that's the problem. Simple fix. Just say, we don't give refunds in terms of money back to your account. We just give you a credit note and then you can spend it on whatever else you want to spend it on, sort of thing. Right? But for some weird reason, you're making me wait a mystical 14 days for no reason to then return the money anyway. And they've told me, even on the 14th day, if I don't get the money back before then I should just phone up and just say, and then they'll give me the money back 14 days. And then just phone them and say, okay, once after 14 days or 14th day, just phone us and then we'll refund it. But why am I waiting 14 days? You're not going to be returning the item anyway. You've just taken the item. You've now received the item. They've confirmed they've received the item, but now they're saying they've got to wait to test it for 14 days. Why? So I'm so confused as to what's going on. Now the thing is, I could go and rebuild this computer probably right now, because all I need to do is order a new AM4 board and a new power supply, because I've already got memory upstairs I could probably use, and I've got the CPU, the 2600 I've still got, and I've got my 3060 Ti obviously I've still got. But do I want to do that when I've got a board I paid a lot of money for that's upstairs, that's AM5, which is future-proof, that all I need to really buy for on that one would be a new CPU, new RAM, and a new power supply for, and possibly if I could squeeze in a new case, and then have that delivered, and then utilize that with the motherboard that's upstairs. Because the motherboard upstairs is just sat there waiting, not doing anything. Now, obviously, that's on that's my fault. I take responsibility for that because I accidentally bought AM5 instead of AM4, even though I put in AM4 and you need to fix your listings, because every time I put in AM4, it just throws a listing of every crap, from stuff that's not even related to it to things that is related to it to then other things that aren't related but around the same area, like AM5. I don't want AM5. If I say I want an AM4 motherboard, I want just AM4 motherboards, not AM5, so I accidentally look and see a board and go, oh yeah, well I've already put in the filter AM4, I've already searched for what I want to search for, let me just put AM4, and oh yeah, you're still throwing AM5 in there as well. You need to fix that. But that's what's bugging me the most, Amazon, is I've got to wait 14 days for no reason for you to send me money back anyway, which is what you're going to be doing anyway. Now, I'm just on Twitter and speaking to another advisor on Twitter, and apparently they've got 14 days to wait because they've got to wait 14 days apparently now on Twitter just now, saying that they've got to wait 14 days for the returns window so that they make sure they've got the product back. You've got the product back. So what is it? Is it I'm waiting 14 days for this mystical staring at my CPU for no reason for 14 days and giving money back? Or is it because you're putting it down and saying, well, we've got to wait 14 days because anywhere between there, we might receive the item? You've got the item. I've had it confirmed. You've got the item. It's at your repair center or whatever center it's called. So you've got the item. So just give me the money back. Why am I waiting 14 days? And why is it conflicting from 14 days? Because we've got to test it from what your advisors are saying on the phone. You've got to test it for why? Because if I've sent it you back, you just return the money anyway. You don't need to test it on my behalf because I'm not receiving the item back. If you were repairing it and sending it back, I can understand. But I'm sending it back to return the money. And yes, it is a high value item, but that's high value item of my money that you're holding on to for no reason for 14 days. For no reason. And now on Twitter, you're saying you're holding it on for 14 days because it could be a 14-day return period because it could be anywhere before the 14 days that you actually get the item back. But yet you have got the item back because the advisors have said, yes, we've got it, but now you've got to wait 14 days for them to test it for no reason. Make up your mind. I'm frustrated. It's like I could rebuild the computer through AM4, but I don't want to waste the money unless they're going to give me the money back for the board upstairs. Which just, I would rather, to be honest, keep that board and upgrade to that board than to go backwards. But I'm not waiting 14 days. I just want the money back as an Amazon credit, like you've done with the others, like I've suggested. Excuse me. Like I've suggested. And let me buy new parts so I can reorder my boards and stuff. And not wait until really, really close to Christmas, which is going to be absolute chaos. And then I'm probably not going to get the parts back until after Christmas because there's going to be such a huge demand for deliveries. Get your crap together, Amazon. Right? Stop making me wait 14 days. Give me my money back. You've got the item. Anyway, that's my rant for today. It's a bit short actually than the other rants I did. But there we go. I had to re-record this because for some weird reason it had vertical and it won't go like this. I don't know why, but there we go. Anyway, Amazon, get your crap together. If you're going to do it this way. Number 1, have a 30-day return period. If it's after 30 days, then you can't have the item back, so it's tough. You should have sent it before. Unless you pay for the extra protection that covers you for 2-3 years or whatever it is that you do. If you do accept to return it, as soon as you receive the item, return the money, regardless of what it is. Don't make people wait 14 days. Just say there is a possible 14-day wait period of when we receive the item back, or 5 to 7 day return period to when the item comes back. Then once we get the item, we'll return it to you. Once we can confirm we have it in our hands, then we'll send you the refund, whether it by Amazon credit or by money. Or if you come complaining because obviously it's money and you're losing money because they're returning and you're not getting the return on that, then just say, okay, the new policy is that when you buy something from us, if you ever return it, you can only get Amazon credit. You don't get money back anymore. You just get Amazon credit to spend on something else because it's a faulty product. So you order something else through Amazon and then you get the money back simply anyway because all they're going to do is respend with Amazon because they can't spend it anywhere else. It doesn't go back into their bank account. It just goes back into your Amazon gift card part and then they respend that money on other products within Amazon. That way then you're not losing any money. Simple, one way or the other. Stop holding people's money for 14 days for no reason. Give them their money back. And make it clear It's either 14-day waiting period for the item to be received, or it's 14-day period for them to stare at the goddamn item for no reason for 14 days, and then eventually say, oh yeah, now we've stared at it for 14 days, now you can have your money back. For no reason. Let me know, Amazon. Get in touch. Bye for now.